Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a Quinnipiac poll drop. We know Quinnipiac in previous election cycles had been significantly liberal. They were the worst pollster in 2020 in terms of accuracy, way overestimating Biden in the general, but their polls this year have been a little bit better. I mean, we saw a general poll popular vote from like a few weeks ago that had Trump up by one with Quinnipiac. And so maybe they've adjusted their model, and now we've got the three big Rust Belt swing states, and we've got some interesting data here. So in Michigan, they've got Trump up 4. That's a 5-point improvement against their last poll. Harris down 4. 51 to 47. Wisconsin, Trump up by 2, and then Pennsylvania, Trump down by 2. So some mixed data here. Very surprising. This reminds me of the Atlas Intel swing state dump that was released that had Pennsylvania being the most liberal, if I remember correctly, which is not something that we're used to. If you look back 2016, 2020 in the Trump years, Pennsylvania normally is the most conservative out of the Rust Belt states, not including Ohio. Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe a little bit more liberal, with Michigan being the most liberal. But this is another poll. This reminds me of the Atlas Intel. Remember, Atlas Intel had Trump +4 in Michigan. +4, that's, you could argue, slightly outside of the margin of error. Again, these are polls, still 25, 27 days before the election, whatever it is. You can't take these for gospel, but still, 4 points, that's significant. I mean, even if it's off by 2 or 3 points, it's still a Trump victory. And these are polls that normally underestimate Trump anyways. So the Pennsylvania number is the Michigan number is very encouraging. The Wisconsin number, I have a feeling Trump is going to win Wisconsin by more than people think. I don't know if it's because of that Democratic internal that we saw. And apparently Democrats are just spazzing out right now. They're losing it. There's a big infight happening between the Harris campaign and the Biden administration. But Wisconsin, Trump sitting +2, you'll take it. And then again, Pennsylvania, you would say is the most important of any state in the election. We know Trump did the rally in Butler. But in this scenario, if you win Michigan and Wisconsin, lose Pennsylvania, I mean, you'll take that because combined Michigan and Wisconsin have more electoral votes. But it would be very strange just based on, we normally think Pennsylvania a little bit more conservative. If Trump wins Michigan by 4 points, is there a chance he's losing Pennsylvania? No. So is Trump really up by 4 in Michigan? Probably not. But even if he wins Michigan by like a point, do we really think Pennsylvania is going to go to the left of Michigan? It's very unlikely. So overall, I would say good data, but certainly that Pennsylvania a little bit off in terms of comparing it to Michigan and Wisconsin. But the overall change is extremely positive, especially in Michigan with the +5. And it was reported also in Michigan that the Senate race, the Democrats were like, listen, Harris is underwater. That means she's not down by 1. She's not down by 2. She's down by like 3 or 4. When you say underwater, there are a number of indicators that lead us to believe Trump is doing better than the polls suggest in Michigan. And obviously, I mean, this poll does suggest Trump is doing very good in Michigan, but I'm just saying in general, it was always thought of the state where, I mean, I just reacted to something yesterday from Fox News. They had every single swing state as a toss-up outside of Michigan. They had Michigan as a tilt Democrat, which makes no sense based on the polling, based on what we've heard out of there. And now we've got a poll from Quinnipiac, more liberal, but it does seem like they're shifting their methodology a little bit this year, to give them credit, because these are significantly different polls than what they've been spitting out in the past. It seems like Bloomberg is the new Quinnipiac with just the ridiculous rating of liberals. The way they're sampling is totally off, and Quinnipiac is done better. I mean, they've done better. I mean, I have to give them credit for that. These polls are a lot different than their 2020 results. If these polls were, Harris +6, +7, I'd say the same thing, but they're not. Even their popular vote had Trump +1. Now, I don't know if they released a new popular vote. That's probably going to come next week. But either way, I mean, look, you could say, well, Pennsylvania doesn't make a lot of sense, but still, that's within the margin. I mean, I would say right now, Trump probably about a 1.5 to 2 point favorite in Pennsylvania. I would say a similar, you could argue maybe a 1 point favorite in Wisconsin, and then Michigan very close, but I would still lean Trump in Michigan as well. When you look at the betting, Trump is a favorite in Pennsylvania, kind of a clear favorite with like a 57% chance to win. Wisconsin is like 50-50. It was Harris, but it's come down, and same thing with Michigan. I think Michigan, we might see it get flipped here with Polymarket. If you look at Real Clear Politics, it's officially flipped there in Michigan, which is just crazy with this poll. So meaning the overall average, I will say I think she probably takes a very slight lead in Pennsylvania, because I think Real Clear Politics was tied in Pennsylvania, and if they incorporate this Quinnipiac poll, she might go up like by 0.1. But considering Kamala was up by like 1.5 to 2 points on average in Michigan, that was the Rust Belt state where she was polling the best. Now, if you look at Real Clear Politics, Trump has a slight lead in the aggregate average. It's huge news, and it's just more great things for Donald Trump when it comes to these polls. You can see This is the swing that we've seen from Quinnipiac in Michigan. Harris +5 on September 16th. A little less than a month later, Trump +3. That's a swing of 8 points. Wisconsin has swung as well in that same time frame by about 3 points. And also, yes, I do remember that. To me, it seems like Quinnipiac is really having a tough time polling Pennsylvania. That's what I'm taking away from this. There's no way Harris was ever +5 in Pennsylvania. And I do remember that poll coming out in mid-September and being like, there's no way she's +5. And they still have her +3. But I think it looks like they just have a problem polling Pennsylvania because, again, there's no way she would ever be +5, let alone if Trump is polling +3 in Michigan or +4, whatever you want to call it, depending on if you include all the leaners and things like that. Some of these pollsters do, some of them don't. That's why you're seeing a little bit different numbers, +3, +4, whatever. Harris being +3 in Pennsylvania doesn't really equate if the same pollster has Trump +3 in Michigan. Obviously, it's more likely that Trump is +1 in Michigan and then +3 in Pennsylvania. But either way, this is very, very good news because you're seeing Michigan get more conservative, and you're also understanding that the rumors that we've gotten, it's all adding up because we were told that in Michigan, the internals were a lot different than the actual polls because there was a narrative that Harris was a slight favorite in Michigan, more so than Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Well, maybe that's not true based on some of these polls that have come out. And I think all of these states are very close. When you try and talk like, oh, Pennsylvania is more conservative than Michigan and Wisconsin is more conservative than Michigan, they're all very, very close. But the general thought is that Pennsylvania is the most conservative, then Wisconsin, then Michigan. Now, maybe it won't work. Maybe Wisconsin will be the most liberal. We don't know. They're all very, very close. But that's just the general thought in terms of that. These are very, very good polls. You can see the Wisconsin poll. The last poll they did had Harris +1. Now it's Trump +2. I mean, man, it's like, it's a combination of things with Quinnipiac. But my God, a Quinnipiac poll that comes out in mid-October that has Trump up by 4 in Michigan, up by 2 in Wisconsin, and then even Pennsylvania being down by 2. I don't think Pennsylvania is necessarily going to be a state. I mean, certainly it's going to be tough for Trump to win. All of these Rust Belt states are, but there's been such great strides and such great trends in Pennsylvania, and the liberals try and talk about the early vote like it's some huge thing, like they're crushing conservatives. Well, no, they're performing worse than they did in 2020, and I think looking at the early vote anyways is fool's gold considering the variables of the 2020 election versus 2024. It's impossible to compare the two because there's so many different things about 2024 than there were about 2020 with the pandemic and everything like that. But in general, these are very, very good polls. And then you do also have the Senate races. And the liberal lead in these Rust Belt Senate races was always way overblown. You can see Rogers tied now in Michigan. McCormick, I think they're really struggling to poll Pennsylvania. There's no way McCormick is down by 8. He's not going to lose by 8. To me, that's bad data. Wisconsin, Baldwin +4, the incumbent. Yeah, I think Republicans can take one of these. I would say heading into today, probably Pennsylvania was the best shot, but maybe Michigan. I don't know. But if they get one of these seats, we know they're already getting 52. They could get 53, maybe 54, depending, as long as they win Ohio. And there's a lot of liberal cope that, Brown is still going to win Ohio. Well, if Trump wins by 9 or 10 points, there's zero chance Brown is winning Ohio. And I think Trump will win by 9 or 10 points because he's not going to win by less than he did in 2020 based off of this environment in Ohio. It doesn't make sense. So I would say these numbers are good. It does seem like Quinnipiac is struggling to pull Pennsylvania because I don't see McCormick being down by 8 against Casey. That poll in September that had Trump down by 5 doesn't make any sense either when you look at all the other pollsters and how they aligned. So I would say they're struggling to pull Pennsylvania a little bit. That's not because I'm a homer. I'm just saying this is what it is. I mean, there are reports within the Democratic Party. They know they're going to lose. This, we're looking at Trump possibly winning the popular vote, going to Madison Square Garden. This is what's happening. And you can look at Polymarket. This is the data. It is what it is. They can make and the thing is, look at how defeated they all are. You've got all these models that have Harris at it's almost like a token. Oh, she's still got a 56% chance to win. Let's stop the bullshit. She's not winning. This is pathetic. If you want to actually weigh polls properly, it would have her at a 30% chance to win, but they don't do it. They give the benefit of the doubt to the polls that were really off on Trump in 2020 and 2016, and that's causing the difference between the betting. And now the whole thing is, it's just all degenerate Republicans who bet on Polymarket. Then why did Harris go way up during the debate? You think Republicans 10 minutes into the debate against Trump were, oh my God, Harris won this debate so badly in the first 10 minutes, I'm going to throw $3,000 on her to win the election because that's what happened. You think those are Republicans? She climbed. I mean, it's ridiculous, but that's what they try and argue now. Oh, Polymarket's just a bunch of Republicans which obviously is not true. Otherwise, if it was, it would be about a 70% chance Trump would have to win, because that's really what it should be. Because when you factor in the polls in 2016 and 2020, how off they were versus the environment in 2024, Trump is the clear favorite in this election. And these Quinnipiac polls, the leftist polls, these proves it. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.